Even though a woman spent her whole life raising tigers in her yard, her neighbors thought she was wasting her life by putting herself in danger. Then, they had to take back what they said because what her two tigers did to her one morning was so shocking. People behind Janice Haley's picket fence were talking to each other while she was sitting in her Florida garden and looking at her two Bengal tigers. Even though she knew they didn't think Janda and Sabre were safe pets, she couldn't help but think that they would change their minds if they watched how they interacted with her instead of spreading lies and fear. It had never been easy to live with Janda, an orange Bengal tiger who was strong, and Sabre, a white Bengal cat who was intimidating. She first became interested in raising tigers out of curiosity. That interest turned into a strong love after she quit her boring job as an administrative assistant. She wanted to connect with nature more deeply. She took advantage of the chance to go on an amazing adventure when she saw an ad for a tiger training school in her local newspaper. Janice knew that the big cats might be dangerous. They were still dangerous animals, and she knew that tigers could still hurt her if they got too close to people, even if they were used to people. But for Janice, the benefits of her job were much greater than the risks, even though she knew they existed. She built a big cage in her backyard and started taking care of tiger cubs that needed a safe place to grow. She quickly learned that she loved her new job. Not everyone in the neighborhood agreed with her, though. Janice and her helpers really cared about the animals and wanted to teach people how important it is to protect wildlife. Even though she worked hard, she still got abused, and she would often see people outside her house saying bad things about her. Janice knew that some people didn't think it was right to keep such powerful animals as these in prison, even if it was for a good reason. For different reasons, these tigers couldn't be let out into the wild. Living in a sanctuary, even a small one, would give them a healthy place to grow and develop. Janice was also aware that many people didn't understand why she wanted to be close to dangerous animals. They couldn't think straight because they were scared, and they often thought it was only a matter of time before one of the tigers hurt her or one of her helpers badly. Because of this, Janice went up to the tigers that morning while they were free to walk the garden sanctuary, opened their cage, and went inside with them. A small group of people from the neighborhood who had gathered outside her house were interested in what they were seeing. Some still wanted to see the tigers in the wild, and some thought Janice was crazy for going into the cage with the two big tigers. But everyone wanted her to get out of that yard alive. As everyone watched, they held their breath and didn't dare speak. What the tigers did next shocked everyone. Janda and Sabre started to move towards Janice until the tigers surrounded her. They both stopped in front of her, and she gave them both a tight hug. Janet and Sabre didn't move. Instead, they wrapped their big paws around Janice's shoulders in a gentle way. It was a moment of deep connection, and what happened next shocked everyone there. They finally saw more than just a woman and her dangerous pets in that hug. They saw a powerful example of love, kindness, and understanding. When the whispering stopped, Janice smiled at her, Win with her favorite lines. Any bad things could always be blocked out. As soon as she walked into the cage with Janet and Sabre, she felt calm and forgot that people were watching them in awe. Janice closed her eyes and laid down next to the lions. There was a quiet calm over all of them. There was an unwritten language of understanding in the air at that very moment. People and animals spoke the same language. Janda moved closer to Janice slowly and put one big paw over her shoulder, giving her a warm hug. The pretty tigers seemed to know what Janice did for them every day and wanted to let everyone know how much she appreciated her care and love. Janice thought about the time when her life had changed for the better as she lay in Jay's arms. She felt very close to Shuffer, her first tiger cub. Even though Janice knew that her new job could be dangerous, she knew she made the right choice when Shuffer showed up at her house only 2 years after she decided to open the refuge. The arrival of Shuffer was a major turning point in Janice's life. From the moment she held the tiny, helpless thing in her arms, she felt a strong urge to protect it. She then nursed the sick cub for many long nights, making sure he had all the things he needed. As Chuffer got bigger, so did their bond. It was an unspoken link that went beyond species. Chuffer's presence in Janice's life made her even more determined to spread the word about how rare Bengal tigers are in the wild. It was his silly antics and sweet nature that gave her hope and motivated her to do more. In 2002, Janice made a big choice that would further shape her goal. She did it because of her strong passion. She let Jay, the bright and curious orange Bengal female, into her home. When Jay came to their sanctuary, it had a new energy. Her playful attitude reminded Chuff of when he was younger. Chuffer loved having a friend to play with, and Janice would smile when she saw them having fun. Unfortunately, he died in 2007, and Janice was extremely sad. Chuffer was the tiger that made her dreams come true. He was the first tiger she had ever taken care of, and he thought her what a great honor it was to take care of such beautiful big cats. Jay also looked lost without her friend, without Chuffer in her life. Her lively personality seemed less lively. Janice knew what she had to do just by looking at her. A new little tiger cub named Sabre had been brought into the family. He was only 2 weeks old. Janice fell in love with Sabre as soon as she saw him. He had beautiful white fur and blue eyes that sparkled. When he got there, their refuge had a new sense of purpose and the wonder and innocence of childhood all over again. Even though Sabre was young, he had a quiet power about him that Janice connected with and admired her of how strong these beautiful animals are. The tiger cub had grown and done well while she watched over it. Because Jay was like a mother, she took him in under her wing, and they became more than just friends. The idea of teaching people had come back to Janice's mind. She still really missed Chuffer, but she also had learned a lot from the experience and was ready to let more people in to her sanctuary than just her family and the workers who helped her. All of this had led her to the moment she was having with Jay now. Some people still didn't understand how much she loved big cats, which made her very sad. Janice cared a lot about the safety of both people and animals, so she set up procedures to keep everyone safe. Even though there had been no accidents in her refuge, her neighbors still looked at her funny every time they saw her. She could understand why people were afraid of them. Jay and Sabre were very big, and Sabre had been shocked the first time she heard a tiger scream. Even though it sounded scary, Janice knew something else about tigers that not many people had seen before. People who didn't like Janice had seen how softly and trustingly she treated her lions. They saw how these strong animals let her kiss them on the nose, showing that they had become close beyond the limits of species. Although they were skeptical at first, they had now seen how much Janice loved the tigers and how the tigers loved her back. Now they knew that even though she might not have been able to give the tigers a free home, she was clearly doing what she could do to help the animals and teach people about how important it is to protect wildlife. That was enough for them.